Hello and welcome to Ithara, where our goal is to have positive transformations through conversations. This is just one form of a conversation we can have. It's that which is inside me wanting to speak to what is inside you. And I wanted to share something that was incredibly powerful that I had happen to me today. Today was one of the most difficult days for me. Just because of the current situation I'm in, the current circumstance, has created a lot of pressure. At least in my mind. My thinking around it has created a lot of pressure. And physically, I'm exhausted and very tired. And that part finally showed up this morning around my family. And it wasn't a pleasant experience. I lashed out, I got angry, I screamed, I yelled. Mostly trying to express how much tired I was. I wasn't too worried, I wasn't too afraid. Just because I understood where my experience was coming from, I just knew eventually everything will balance out again. So I stayed in silence for a couple of hours. And we had to go to a doctor's appointment for my wife. And while she's in there, I took the girls, my two girls, for a walk. It was kind of not an industrial place, but where you could always find the headquarters, like the buildings, headquarters for companies. So you could see one huge building after the other. It was nice, it was quite nice. During the walk, I thought about a lot of things, but eventually I suddenly found myself in this calm, beautiful kind of feeling. And I remembered Michael Neal talking about the feeling. And I remembered him talking about how he tried to figure it out intellectually for the longest time. And here I'm referring to the three principles, understanding. And eventually he decided to look after the feeling instead of trying to think his way through. And I suddenly found myself in that feeling. I also found myself intellectually trying to explain why I was feeling this feeling. So I tried to trace back the thoughts that got me here, because in case I lose this beautiful feeling, I wanted to go back there again. And then I suddenly realized that actually I should allow myself to fully immerse myself in the feeling and let go of thinking, of the intellectual. And I started tearing up and crying and smiling and laughing. And suddenly the word that came up to describe this feeling was like going back home. And honestly, this is a very common phrase used in the Three Principles community and in the teachings of the Three Principles. Going back home, it's like going back home. I sort of knew what they were talking about, but it's incredibly different when you realize it for yourself and you find yourself using the exact same expression. But I also found myself trying to express it in a different way. And the way that came up to me was, it was like peeling off layers and layers of what we call life, from the goals and the dreams and the hustling and the desires, down to the family, down to myself, and then peeling off the self as well, kind of uncovering one layer after the other until you kind of reach the essence of, oh, it's just this moment right now. And in this moment, look at all these creations all around me. So beautiful. The trees, the land, the buildings. Look at these companies, all came from the imagination and the thinking of other people. Products and solutions and innovations made by humankind, made by mankind. And you realize that it's not that it's the brilliance of mankind, but it's that which allowed us to be able to do this. And you know, it's like zooming out so far out that you could see the whole universe in a small ball and realize, wow, just how simple life is, how it's already a blessing to be here, to get to experience this. And you realize that this energy that is kind of giving everything life, this living energy, you know, we all know it's all energy, right? Science even proved that. Physics proved that it's all energy taking different forms, and that nothing ever dies. It just shifts the form. The energy between the particles takes a different form, and it goes from liquid to gas to back to liquid to something hard, and so on. And fire transforms into gases in the air, and so on. It all, you know, dying is kind of the description of the transformation of one form to another. And that could mean the ending of the first form, but it is the start of another. But the energy is always there. The energy powering everything is always there. And I suddenly understood, I suddenly saw how, you know, God is like no other, like no creature. To me, what I'm seeing right now, and I don't fully understand this, if this is really the description of God or not, but there's this formless energy. It doesn't have a form yet, and it goes from the nothing, the no thing, into the thing. And it becomes all sorts of different things, which we call the universe right now. But it all comes from the same formless energy, which then means this formless energy has all the unlimited potential to become anything. And running through us, keeping us alive, we use this energy, or perhaps it uses us to create. And then you look all around you and you see these buildings and technology, and what I'm recording on right now, and the possibility to have this transformational conversation. To God knows how many people would ever listen to this. It's just incredible. It's amazing, it's magnificent, it's beautiful. But now imagine zooming back in all the way from being able to see the entire universe, you know, all the way to Earth, to where you are right now, into the game of life we're playing, which is, you know, creating relationships and falling in love and making money and building businesses and having great jobs, and then having disagreements and having wars, stealing from each other because we think everything is in scarce or lack. And you realize it's all a misunderstanding. The more you don't realize you're in a game, the more you would do stupid stuff, the more you will make it hard on yourself. Now, saying it's a game is not making it smaller, like making it without worth, but it's just saying it's a game. Because in reality, life is much bigger than this game. You are the unlimited potential energy of the formless taking form. You have it running through you. It's what keeps you alive. It's what keeps everything alive. That kind of level of intelligence is just beyond the little games we want to play. Yet once we realize they're games, then let's play them with let's have fun. Let's make the rules, let's break the rules. Let's be creative. Let's innovate. Let's progress. It's all part of the possibility. So, like, for example, the one thought that came to mind as I experienced this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful feeling was, and again, I just kept switching between tearing up and smiling and tearing up and smiling and laughing. And I kept saying, wow, 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 wow. I kept saying that over and over again. And then I realized, what's the point of goals? Like, what's the point of this thing? Say it's a financial goal. Say I want to make $100,000. What's the point of that if I make it to be the end of all things or the ultimate thing to get to? It's just, to me, that's like trying to play a video game on Xbox and thinking that getting to the last level of the game is everything in life. Trying to gather the confidence or losing the confidence over it, losing sleep over it, stealing for it, hurting other people for it. It's just a game. And the whole levels thing is just a milestone. It's nice to make the game exciting and fun. And the point is to play the game and have fun. The point is not to turn it into something that is not. And then start suffering from it, even though the game has nothing to do with this. It wasn't made for this. It wasn't made to be taken too seriously. It was made to be playful. The game of life in general. Look everywhere. People creating businesses, innovations, players, athletes breaking records, trying to see what would be the fastest time we could run, what would be the fastest time we could swim. It's just incredible. It's incredible. But people miss that the joy, the playfulness is in trying in the game itself, in seeing what is possible from this unlimited potential, from this unlimited possibility in the formless. And instead we start to suffer, lose purpose over sports. Try to kill ourselves because we no longer have a goal. We no longer have a purpose. It's just all a misunderstanding. It's not supposed to be this way. I just wanted to share this because I feel like finally I've tasted, and it's not the first time. I remember the first time I had this probably a year ago, but it was much shorter. Probably for like 30 seconds the feeling was there, and then I lost it. But it's never really lost because it's what we're made of. So we can never lose this feeling. It's just that we have this thing called thought. We're able to think, and thinking is like a movie that we play in our heads, and we could really get hooked up and focused on the movie that we forget we're in the cinema and that we can leave the cinema. Still, movies are fun. We want to watch the movie. We still want to do that. That's fine. But it's just that when we get caught up with how scary a movie is, we just want to kind of wake up and realize it's a movie. That's the same way the thought does it. this can help us look at everything from a new perspective in an individual matter to each one of us. In all the different aspects, or call them pillars of your life, you can kind of look at them from a totally different way. Once you realize you don't have, or once you realize the whole thing is made up, the whole thing is made up means, we're supposed to do this, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. I have to create this kind of success, I have to create this kind of body, I have to create this kind of degree. It's playing the game but not realizing you're in a game. And this not realizing part creates all the suffering there is. Because now we take it too seriously. Wow. I kept thinking about all the incredible creations made by humans. It's just beautiful. And this feeling, I think, is beautiful, and it feels like going home, and it feels like taking off one layer of clothes, one layer at a time, It feels good, I think, because you just kind of go back to the essence of... It's like suddenly, sometimes when I watch, the zombie movies, and if you wake up after the apocalypse, like the Will Smith movie, I Am Legend, I think, and it's only you in that place. Do you realize how different that is? I feel like you get to relax, putting aside the apocalypse and the death of everyone, but I mean, you realize the game is no longer there. You don't have to hustle for anything. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to dress up for anyone. You don't have to talk, walk, think to please anyone, nor to compete against anyone. You're just living. And you're making meals, one meal at a time, and just appreciating the beauty, appreciating the place. This is what usually happens in wars as well. People are punched in the face during a war. Punched in the face as in being pulled back to reality. And even though you could find people in bunkers and just there's nothing to do anymore, you can see how they start to have fun. Playing cards and playing games and talking and having conversations. How's that possible? There's a war going on. How's that possible? The only explanation is because this is home for us. This is how we're made. We're naturally made well, happy, joyful. There's this quote that says, you don't need anything to be happy. You need something to be sad. I don't really remember who said this. You don't need anything to be happy, but you do need something to be sad. I hope this one-sided conversation can spark the smallest little flame of transformation in you towards something positive in your life. Take care. Enjoy living. We'll talk soon.